In 1977, the Hodgson family lived in a modest council house in Enfield, North London. Peggy Hodgson, a single mother, was raising her 4 children there. It was just another night in August, until Peggy heard a loud crash. She thought her daughters were misbehaving. But when she went upstairs, what she saw terrified her. A heavy chest of drawers was sliding across the bedroom floor, as if being pushed by unseen hands. Peggy forced it back against the wall. It moved again. That was only the beginning. From that night forward, the family's home would become a place of fear. Strange knocking sounds echoed through the rooms. Furniture toppled without warning. The children cried out in terror. Something had taken over the house, and it wasn't going to let them go. The activity grew more violent. Beds shook in the middle of the night. Objects flew across the rooms. The children were terrified to sleep. 11-year-old Janet suffered the most. She told her mother that something invisible pulled at her hair, at her arms, at her legs. Neighbors swore they saw Janet lifted off the ground. Others said they saw her hurled across the room. And then came the voice. It growled from Janet's throat, low, gravelly, unnatural. It claimed to be a man named Bill, who had died in the house. Sometimes it cursed. Sometimes it laughed. Sometimes it threatened. The voice was so disturbing that investigators recorded hours of it. When doctors examined Janet, they found her vocal cords could not have produced such a sound. To this day, no one has fully explained it. The story spread quickly. Journalists and photographers crowded outside the home. Neighbors came to see for themselves, and many of them left terrified. A police officer visited the house. In her official report, she claimed to see a chair lift off the floor and slide across the room. She had no explanation. A photographer snapped images of Janet being flung from her bed, her body twisted as if thrown by invisible hands. The photos were published worldwide. The Hodgsons were no longer alone in their nightmare. The world was watching. Paranormal researchers began investigating. Among them were Maurice Grosse and Guy Lyon Playfair of the Society for Psychical Research. They spent months in the home, documenting strange phenomena. They recorded knocks, voices, objects moving on their own. They believed the haunting was genuine. Later, Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous demonologists, also visited the house. They were convinced the family was telling the truth, but not everyone agreed. Skeptics claimed the children staged the events for attention. They accused Janet of faking the voice by using trick breathing. They said the levitation photos were nothing more than a girl jumping from her bed. Yet, even critics admitted some of the evidence remained unexplainable. For more than a year, the Hodgson family lived in fear. The haunting would come and go. Sometimes weeks would pass in silence. Other times, the house was filled with chaos. Eventually, the disturbances faded, but the scars never left the family. Janet later said she felt used by whatever force tormented her. She also admitted to faking small parts of the haunting, but insisted the majority of it was real. Today, the Enfield Poltergeist remains one of the most documented hauntings in history. Dozens of eyewitnesses. Hundreds of hours of recordings. A case still debated by believers and skeptics alike. Was it a hoax, or proof of something darker that walks among us? The truth remains in the shadows.